I'm back. So we're done here in Lithia Springs. I'm off to, I told you guys earlier Woodstock, but it's actually Marietta, northeast side. Marietta, that's where I'm headed. Okay. I be having glasses problems, man. I always break my glasses. I don't know what it is. This one right here always break. I'm waiting on these to give up on it too. I got some backup. Check this out. When I break these, I go to these. These the new ones. Them are flexible. And yeah, I can see you, baby. But I'm still hooked up on it. I'll break these first before I get to the good ones. But I'm always, I don't know, maybe my head too wide, but this one right here, I always break it right here. It always pop off and sitting somewhere. I know you guys feel me on that. All right, we are headed to Marietta. But first, I accept checks, y'all, because the Inflation Reduction Act is really a tax increase. It causes the servicer to charge an additional transaction fee on any credit card transaction that you make. That's what the Inflation Reduction Act does do to you. So go back to checks if you want to avoid the Inflation Reduction Act. And I'm quite sure Trump's going to get around to that and get rid of that too. Because Joe Biden put a number on us, and y'all just now waking up to see he sat there and lied to y'all for 4 years. And y'all sit there and believe that shit. Then he told you he wasn't black, and y'all believe that shit too. Then he sent out lying ass Kamala, told y'all she black, and y'all believe that shit too. Black people, y'all believe too much shit. Y'all believe whatever everybody tell you. You don't never look into it for yourself, and now you're starting to find out. And now you're starting to find out where all these crooked politicians been getting their money from your tax-based foundations like the IRS, the Welfare Department, the Education Department, all these other little hidden little slush funds. Y'all now starting to figure it out. Y'all running out of things to call Trump because now he's putting the truth on you. Every time you turn around and try to call Trump a name, you got to eat your words because he keep bringing it to you. And there's more to come. Wait till, guys. Wait till Cash Patel get in. Wait till Cash Patel get in. They're getting rid of the fraud. The next level is jail, prosecution. They're going to send some people to jail. Like the elf on the shelf. The elf on the shelf is your boy. The originator of COVID-19. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He made COVID-19 in the Wuhan laboratory using taxpayer money. Then they create a vaccine using taxpayer money. So they got you coming and going. They created the vaccine with taxpayer money and created it with your money. And then y'all sit around and took the jab, and now they control your emotions. And that's messed up. Okay. It doesn't say. All I got is East Brandon Drive. I got no mailbox number. I can't even call. You know what? They so smart.
Thank you for calling the Technician Help Hotline. Our calls may be monitored or recorded for quality or training purposes.
They're so smart, I'm put them to work.
Please listen closely as our menu options have changed.
No shit.
For dispatch, press 1. If you are a new Pulse technician, press Thank you for calling Pulse Home Services. Our office is currently closed. We are open Monday through Friday between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. Central Time and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. during the weekend. If you are trying to schedule a service, you may do so by visiting pulse.com. That's PULS.com.
Now, I'm going to the street with no mailbox address. This is how jacked up they are. Their name is Pulse, P-U-L-S, and they provide contractors to repair your appliances, your plumbing, and any other household nature like security systems. And all they do is contract the work out. But they so insecure that they try to control everything. The customer's phone number, I can't call the customer. I can't confirm with the customer. All they give me is the opportunity to chat with them. Now, I need to head that way, and the address doesn't have a mailbox number. All I got is a street. I don't have a phone number to call them to let them know how long I'm going to be. I'm en route. And they haven't responded. So I'm going to drive 36 miles with the possibility of going to a fake address or a fake customer. All because they want to keep control of what they're doing. They don't want me side jobbing, but they fucking up. Let's roll.
The chair may recess at any time. Also, for today's hearing, Chairman Comer and Ranking Member Connolly will each be recognized for 1 minute after me and the Ranking Member provide our opening statements. I recognize myself for the purpose of making an opening statement. Good morning. Today we begin the first hearing on the Oversight Subcommittee on DOGE. This committee will be laser focused on bringing full transparency to waste, fraud, and abuse within the federal government and presenting the plans to fix the tremendous problems we expose. We as a country are $36 trillion in debt. That is such a stunning amount of money. It's absolutely staggering to even comprehend how we as a people, we as a country, found ourselves here. This is not a Democrat problem. This is not a Republican problem. This is an American problem. To make it clear for everyone, not only are we $36 trillion in debt, but the compounding interest on our debt is also growing out of control. Even if we decided to defund the entire federal government, we cannot escape our debt and the compounding interest owed on our debt, which grows bigger and bigger every year. In 2025, interest payments are projected to be $952 billion, which is more than our entire military budget. In 2026, it will be $1 trillion. And by 2035, $1.8 trillion. Over the next decade, total interest payments are projected to be $13.8 trillion. These interest payments don't serve a single American. They don't build a bridge, a road, provide disaster relief, or fund a single part of the behemoth that is the federal government. These interest payments pay our masters who own our debt, and the American people are in debt slavery to everyone who owns our debt. Our crippling national debt and massively growing interest on our debt will destroy us. Not destroy one political party or the other, it will destroy all of us together. It drives inflation, making life unaffordable for Americans struggling to financially survive. It is crippling small businesses struggling to be successful. Our massively growing debt and interest are the chains and shackles harnessed to every American and their children and every generation to come. But first, let us be brutally honest about how this massive debt came to be in the first place. It came from Congress and from elected presidential administrations. And I believe enslaving our nation in debt is one of the biggest betrayals against the American people by its own elected government. The American people's anger over this betrayal is what gave birth to the concept of DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. In fact, DOGE became a major part of President Trump's campaign and led to his overwhelming victory in November. Every day, Americans go to work. They run businesses. They have to earn their paycheck. No one guarantees it. And if they don't do a good job, they get fired. They also have to pay their bills, credit card debts, balance their checkbooks, and scrap and save every penny they can in order to plan for that rainy day and hopefully retirement one day. Private businesses only survive on hard-earned income by serving their customers so well that their customers pay them for the services and products they consume. If that business fails, its employees lose their jobs and paychecks, and the owners lose their business and everything they risked along with it. Many go bankrupt in this process and lose everything. No one bails them out. They only survive by excellent customer service and smart financial management. This is the real world that most Americans live, work, and survive in every day. This is the pursuit of happiness, and this is how you pursue the American dream. However, the federal government, government employees, and unelected bureaucrats do not live by the same rules as the great American people and private businesses. The federal government's income is the American people's hard-earned tax dollars, their literal blood, sweat, and tears. And taxes are collected by law at gunpoint. Don't pay your taxes and you go to jail. The federal government does not have to provide excellent customer service to earn its income. It takes your money whether you like it or not. And federal employees receive their paycheck no matter what. Whether veterans receive their benefits or not, whether your mail shows up or not, and whether your tax dollars are used to help Americans in need or are sent to foreign countries, for foreign people, for foreign causes. No matter how bad the federal government fails the American people, it still takes your money. It still pays its own federal employees, and it never, ever goes out of business. There are no consequences for bad customer service, total failure, and for enslaving the American people against their will in the ever-growing and future all-consuming national debt. Congress has a dismal approval rating that ranges between 12 and 20%. I don't blame the American people one bit for their sentiment and disgust. The American people will be watching this committee and how we tackle one of the biggest problems of our time. While we are a committee made up of the opposite far-reaching corners of Congress, we were each elected to serve and represent the American people and how their hard-earned tax dollars are spent. We as Republicans and Democrats can still hold tightly to our beliefs, but we are going to have to let go of funding them in order to save our sinking ship. This is not a time for political theater and partisan attacks. The American people are watching. The legislative branch can't sit on the sidelines. In this subcommittee, we will fight the war on waste shoulder to shoulder with President Trump, Elon Musk, and the DOGE team. This week, we turn our attention to improper payments by the federal government, including in Medicaid and Medicare. I'm looking forward to what we find out and how to solve this crisis. I now yield to the ranking member, Ms. Stansbury, for her opening statement.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome to the very first subcommittee on government efficiency. As was said, this committee is tasked under the Oversight Committee with ensuring that the government and the vital services that it provides, from healthcare to national security, actually work for the American people. And this is certainly a topic that we have worked on for many, many years here in the Oversight Committee, in which I personally have worked on as a former civil servant who worked at the Office of Management and Budget. And in fact, for anyone who has ever worked on these issues, you know that there is ample ground for bipartisan work to make the government work better for the American people and to ensure that it operates in a more efficient manner. And in fact, all of us here on the Democratic side are ready to roll up our sleeves and to get to work. And just last week, I had the opportunity to sit down with the chairwoman and to discuss these very issues and opportunities to work across
Y'all
the
have
aisle.
4 years to
And
do
like
it.
the chairwoman who shared some of her background with me, I grew up in a working family. I grew up working for small mom and pop family businesses and understand the necessity of balancing the books, making sure we can deliver, and fiscal responsibility. And that's why today's hearing is focused on making sure that the federal government is doing what it's supposed to and digging into the more than $236 billion in improper payments that we see going out the door every single year. And we need to get to the bottom of that. And we need to make sure that we're putting into place rigorous oversight and controls to prevent fraud and abuse, and of course, to go after bad actors. And that is...
This is Doug.
Douglas,
Yes, sir.
I got a dryer, electric, Speed Queen, not heating in Marietta for today, 1 to 3.
I'm in Marietta right now.
Oh my God. Let me put it to you and maybe we can call the customer.
Okay.
At what time can you be there?
It depends on the address.
It's 1050 Ben Villa Road.
And within 30 minutes.
Okay, let me call the customer. Just wait on the line. And Judy, this is Ivan from Appliance Repairman. In regardless for the appointment today for the driver, the technician is in the area. He can be there in 30 minutes.
Oh, okay,
That's fine?
okay, yeah,
You got it. So his name is Douglas, and he's gonna come in 30 minutes. Okay?
okay, all right, thanks,
You got it. Bye-bye.
bye.
You're free to go, Douglas.
Feed me the address, man. What's the address?
I'm gonna send you the
Look,
email
I'm
right
driving.
now with the information.
Go ahead and speak it out for me. I'm in
Okay.
traffic.
1050
1050.
is Van, like V as in Victor, E-N.
Got it.
Villa Road.
Zip code.
30062.
Got it. Okay.
You got it. I'm sending you the email so that way you can have all the information.
All right. Good enough.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Connolly and other Democratic members of the committee sent a set of bipartisan ideas that we'd like to work on together that would root out waste, fraud, and abuse and modernize and streamline how our agencies deliver vital programs for the American people. These are programs that are important for our seniors and our families and healthcare and the education system, and we need bipartisan solutions to get across the finish line. And we've been trying over the last several years to get these ideas out of this committee, but unfortunately, the committee's priorities have been elsewhere under the current majority. So I hope we can fix that this Congress. But we can't just sit here today and pretend like everything is normal and that this is just another hearing on government efficiency. I mean, all you have to do is look across this room and see that it is not a normal hearing. Because while we're sitting here, Donald Trump and Elon Musk are recklessly and illegally dismantling the federal government, shuttering federal agencies, firing federal workers, withholding funds vital to the safety and well-being of our communities, and hacking our sensitive data systems. In fact, while we were here discussing government waste on the House floor yesterday, Elon Musk was standing behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office with the president, and the administration was making emergency court appeals to try to unlock his team's access to the Treasury payment system, which they claim they are using to study improper payments, which is the topic of this hearing. But here's the thing. The Treasury payment system, which includes Social Security information and bank accounts for millions of Americans and data that's critical to national security and the operation of the U.S. government, and payments that go out the door annually equal to almost a fifth of the U.S. economy, is not where the payment decisions are made, because that happens inside the agencies that are currently being dismantled. And the people who actually investigate waste, fraud, and abuse at these agencies are the inspector generals, who Donald Trump fired his first week in office in a midnight massacre. So we have to ask ourselves, what is really going on here? Why did Republicans block Elon Musk from appearing before this very committee last week? Why is the administration so eager to allow Elon Musk and his hackers to have access to proprietary and private information in the Treasury payment systems? Why are our colleagues across the aisle shielding them as they are clearly breaking the law? And why is the vice president trying to rewrite the U.S. Constitution by tweet and undermine the judiciary? Obviously, we're in the Oversight Committee and we have a lot of questions, and so do the American people. Especially while our colleagues across the aisle are trying to scoop up the savings from the dismantling of these agencies to pay for the largest permanent tax break in American history for billionaires and the folks that they're helping on their side of the aisle.
What folks?
So let me close by saying this directly to Mr. Elon Musk.
Where's your evidence?
We are well aware that you are eager to engage with members of Congress on social media, but we're not here to play.
Okay.
If you have serious desire to engage in democracy and transparency, we welcome you to the Oversight Committee. Come and testify in front of the American people under oath, because we want to know what you're up to. So if you're interested in talking to us, then please join us here in the People's House, in the House of Representatives. And with that, I yield back.
Thank you.
The gentlelady yields. President Trump signed an executive order on his first day in office called Establishing and Implementing the President's Department of Government Efficiency. The EO simply renamed an office in the White House that was actually established by President Obama in 2014 called the U.S. Digital Service. President Trump can have Elon Musk into his Oval Office anytime he likes. I now recognize the chairman of the Oversight Committee, Chairman James Comer.
Well, thank you, Chairwoman Green, for holding today's hearing to launch a war on waste. President Trump won an electoral landslide with a clear mandate from the American people to eliminate Washington waste and stop the theft of American tax dollars. And he is delivering on his promise. President Trump has empowered Elon Musk and Doge to conduct a government-wide audit to identify solutions to curb waste and protect tax dollars. That's exactly what the mission of this committee is supposed to be. And I'm glad that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have found a newfound interest in waste, fraud, and abuse. With a staggering $37 trillion in national debt, we have no time to lose. A key place to start is improper payments. Since 2003, the government has lost $2.7 trillion because of improper payments. Fraudsters, organized criminals, hostile foreign actors, and even government employees have siphoned money away from those who truly qualify for assistance. For years, Republicans and Democrats in the Oversight Committee have condemned this waste. But now that Doge is taking real action, Democrats are choosing to defend the bureaucracy and status quo instead of standing up for the American people. I want to thank Chairwoman Green for holding this very important hearing, not only to expose the problems, but to find solutions. We stand with President Trump and Doge in the fight to end waste, fraud, and abuse in Washington. With that, I yield back to Subcommittee Chairwoman Green, and congratulations again Chairwoman, on holding this first hearing of the DOGE subcommittee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The gentleman yields back. I now recognize the ranking member on oversight, Mr. Connolly.
Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for having this first hearing on DOGE. Improper payments is not a new subject. I remember joining Steve Lynch and then Todd Platts, Republican member from Pennsylvania, in my freshman year, talking about improper payments. At that time, improper payments were in the range of $35 billion a year. They're now in the range of $280 billion a year, and times 10, we could cut almost $3 trillion from the debt if we addressed improper payments in a deliberative way, which GAO has called for in the high-risk category for years. We can also, secondly, enforce the tax code. It's estimated that at least $500 billion a year is left on the table uncollected but owed because of lack of resources in the IRS. Again, times 10 is $5 trillion over a decade. And finally, we can modernize federal IT systems, which we've championed for years on this committee. We know that legacy systems alone could save hundreds of millions of dollars a year in operating and maintenance costs. So if we want to be serious about it, let's be serious about it. But the way not to do it is to fire the people charged with the remit of waste, fraud, and abuse, namely inspectors general. President Trump has already now fired 19, including most recently the USAID Inspector General, who dared to warn that we could lose $500 million of food aid because it's in warehouses not being moved because of the funding freeze that was imposed in AID. That's a cost we need to avoid. And for doing his job, that IG was fired. If we want to be serious, we've got to have objective, neutral inspectors general who are monitoring government waste, fraud, and abuse and expenditures. And I think you would find Democrats more than willing partners in that kind of enterprise if we're going to be serious. But a wrecking crew, a wrecking crane, a wrecking ball is not going to do it. And we're not going to support that approach to waste, fraud, and abuse in the federal government. I yield back. Thank you.
The gentleman yields. The President of the United States has the prerogative to fire anyone that has overseen $36 trillion in debt, enslaving the American people, and rightfully so. I'm pleased to welcome today's expert panel of witnesses who each bring unique experience and expertise that will be valuable to today's discussion. I'd first like to welcome Mr. Haywood Talcove, the Chief Executive Officer for Government at Solutions Customers' Needs, allows LexisNexis solutions that have fraud, waste, and abuse. Next, we have Mr. Stuart Whitson, the Senior Director of Federal Affairs at the Foundation of Government Accountability. Stuart was previously a special agent in the FBI, a U.S. Army veteran, and now spends his time at FGA advocating to improve welfare, the workforce, and other policy. Next, we have Ms. Dawn Royal, a certified welfare fraud investigator in the state of Wyoming and director for the United Council of Welfare Fraud. She advocates for investigating and preventing fraud of government benefits and has done so over the past 16 years. Finally, we have Mr. Dylan Hetler-Goddard, the Director of Government Affairs at the Project on Government Oversight. Dylan leads advocacy efforts and policy reforms to a wide range of good governance. I thank each of our witnesses for being here today, and I look forward to your testimony. Pursuant to Committee Rule 9G, the witnesses will please stand and raise their right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Let the record show that the witnesses answered in the affirmative. Thank you. You may take a seat. We appreciate you being here today and look forward to your testimony. Let me remind the witnesses that we have read your written statement and it will appear in full in the hearing record. Please limit your oral statement to 5 minutes. As a reminder, please press the button on the microphone in front of you so that it is on and the members can hear you. When you begin to speak, the light in front of you will turn green. After 4 minutes, the light will turn yellow. When the red light comes on, your 5 minutes have expired, and we would ask that you please wrap up. I now recognize Mr. Talcove for his opening statement.
Chairwoman Green, Ranking Member Stansberry, and distinguished members of the committee. For over a decade, a silent war has been waged against American taxpayers, not with bombs or guns, but with data and technology. Outdated government systems permit criminals to access unlimited sums of money. During the pandemic, they stole $1 trillion. 70% of those dollars went overseas. Shockingly, it's just not criminals exploiting the system, it's the flawed system itself acting as the accomplice. If left unchecked, the U.S. government will continue to lead the world in funding cyber criminals. This is a data and technology problem, and it demands a data-driven response. Criminal syndicates have turned benefit programs into their personal ATM machines, exploiting those in need who wait months for benefits that may never come. These ruthless crooks use our money to fund child trafficking, disperse drugs in our communities, and terrorism. For years, criminal networks have stolen personal information from the public and private sector. They exploit real identities to manipulate antiquated government systems, siphoning off billions in taxpayers' hard-earned money. We continue to pay benefits to deceased and incarcerated individuals, direct money to bad actors flagged on the do not pay list, and overlook duplicate Social Security numbers by not following best practices. During the pandemic, a simple cross-check of PPP loan recipients against IRS records would have exposed massive fraud and prevented payments to transnational criminals who sold their quote-unquote sauce on the dark web. To stop this, we must reclaim control of our systems, not just from the criminal syndicates, but the flawed systems enabling them. Smarter technology, data, and identity verification are not optional. They are necessities to protect taxpayers and ensure aid reaches those who truly need it. Now, the use of AI is fundamentally changing society, but in the hands of criminals, it has become a weapon. Lawbreakers are now using it to supercharge their war on taxpayers. They use AI to create fake identity documents that pass biometric verifications. Bots flood portals with thousands of fraudulent claims per second, and deep fakes that mimic real applicants bypass the outdated NIST 863 standards from 2017. Honest and deserving people seeking access to government benefits suffer through endless application forms that are nearly impossible to navigate, where criminals from Russia, China, and Romania gain access with ease. The private sector has fraud rates below 3%. Meanwhile, the public sector operates at a 20% fraud rate. The solution is clear. It's already used every day to protect consumers. You seamlessly interact with your bank through an app that verifies your identity in milliseconds. There's no excuse for the government to lag if we do the following. Number one, implement identity verification on the front end. Criminals should never receive a dime. Eliminate self-certification. No more honor system for billion-dollar programs, and continuous auditing. Keep verifying because criminals never stop adapting. Pay and chase does not work. Of the $250 billion stolen in pandemic unemployment fraud, less than $5 billion has been recovered. The idea in government that you cannot have speed and security is fiction. I urge Congress to consider making the following legislative changes. Number one, update the 1974 Privacy Act to allow for data sharing and matching. Number two, fund a budget for fraud prevention in each appropriation bill. The USDA spends 1/20th of 1% on fraud prevention. Mandate that individuals caught stealing from entitlement programs pay hefty fines and are removed from the program permanently. And finally, eliminate broad-based categorical eligibility. This committee has a choice. Continue losing this war against criminal cartels and nation states, or fight back and save $1 trillion annually. Fraud prevention is not benefit prevention. It's the key to ensuring that every dollar reaches those who truly need it. Hardworking Americans rely on these programs not just to steal opportunities. Stopping fraud isn't about denying benefits, it's about protecting them. This crime has two victims. The first are the taxpayers, and the second are those seeking benefits. The fraudsters, cartels, and criminal syndicates are watching this hearing, I'm sure of it. It's time to show them that America will not fund its own destruction. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Talcove. I now recognize Ms. Royal for her opening statement.
Good morning, Chairwoman Green, Ranking Member Stansberry, and committee members. My name is Dawn Royal. I'm a certified welfare fraud investigator, two-term past president, and a current director of the United Council on Welfare Fraud. The United Council on Welfare Fraud is a national professional organization dedicated to protecting the integrity in our nation's public assistance programs. We are the only national organization singularly focused on the detection, prevention, and prosecution of welfare fraud. For too long, agency bureaucrats have pitted citizens' access to welfare programs against the integrity of those programs. Access versus integrity should never be an either-or dichotomy. We can all agree that access to public assistance is crucial. America's citizens should not be hungry or deprived of medical care because of their inability to pay. However, making sure vulnerable citizens have access to these welfare programs should not mean that we simply turn a blind eye to integrity. We do not pursue the prevention, detection, and prosecution of if we do not pursue the prevention, detection, and prosecution of fraud, taxpayers become the victims as the welfare programs become slush funds for anyone wanting to supplement their income with SNAP benefits, absolve themselves from the financial responsibility of medical bills, and using Medicaid to further taxpayer exploitation by taking advantage of cash assistance, energy assistance, child care, and other social welfare programs. One example of a welfare fraud is a case that I investigated that was criminally prosecuted last year. The applicant mother failed to disclose her children's father as well as his employment and income on multiple applications she submitted for Medicaid, SNAP, and low-income energy assistance. The co-defendant father worked a steady job, earning a six-figure salary, and provided an enviable lifestyle for his family, including vacations, luxury vehicles, snowmobiles, motorhomes, lavish gifts, including one from the wife to the husband, which was a $1,200 bottle of bourbon. Evidence we presented at trial included a candidate registration forms filed by the defendant father when he ran for town council and later mayor of the town where he declared he lived at the same address provided by his wife on her public assistance programs. This was a case of greed, but it emphasizes how easy it was for these criminals to make false statements on applications in order to receive benefits from multiple programs that they were never eligible for. I could spend the rest of my day providing countless examples of how taxpayer-funded programs are exploited, and the message would be the same. Investigators continue to be hamstrung by antiquated regulations, conflicting directives from federal agencies, and the lack of access to technology. Sadly, investigators have also found themselves at odds with the career bureaucrats who recite watered-down facts about fraud in order to promote their political agendas. Specifically, we can look to the career bureaucrats who have historically claimed that the fraud rate in SNAP is less than 1%. The disregard for the value of integrity is evidenced by the less than 1/20th of 1% of the SNAP budget spent on the prevention, detection, and prosecution of fraud. As part of Medicaid unwinding debacle, the bureaucrats specifically directed states that they, and I quote, cannot recover or recoup the cost of services from a beneficiary even if they have been found after an administrative hearing or criminal proceeding to have committed Medicaid beneficiary fraud or abuse, end quote. Sadly, it is already apparent that career bureaucrats are not being totally transparent as they attempt to protect spending and broken programs. We fail to understand how mitigating the rampant fraud in Medicaid, SNAP, and other welfare programs stands up or strengthens the welfare programs. Fact is, the opposite is true. Ignoring fraud and gaslighting fraud statistics erodes the very foundations of the programs that are essential to their future viability. There are things this committee can do to help the investigators fighting the war on fraud. Number one, eliminate self-attestation in the application process for all programs. Number two, funding for technology that includes identity verification tools that will help prevent fraud. The current pay and chase model is not sustainable. Number three, immediately implement the National Accuracy Clearinghouse, the NAC, that will provide data to states to prevent duplicate participation in all of the social welfare programs. And four, allocate direct funding with mandates restricting the use of the funding to the prevention, detection, and prosecution of fraud. In closing, we're at a crossroads. Those of us who have firsthand knowledge of the degree in which public welfare programs are being attacked know that reform is absolutely necessary. Reform to the recipient application process, the billing process in Medicaid, and how SNAP benefits are processed, and how providers and retailers are authorized. We thank you for the opportunity for UCOF to participate in this hearing. We feel that the investigators who are on the front lines fighting the daily battle against the war on fraud need to be at the table and participating in the development of action plans that will make a difference in protecting the programs and defending the taxpayers.
Thank you, Ms. Royal. I now recognize Mr. Whitson for his opening statement.
Chairwoman Green, Ranking Member Stansbury, members of the subcommittee, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. On the campaign trail, President Trump promised to take on the bloated bureaucracy in D.C., rebuild trust in the DOJ and the FBI, crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse, and restore common sense. And on day one, he started delivering on those promises with a wave of executive orders and the official launch of DOGE, which he, of course, tasked Elon Musk to lead. Already, DOGE efforts have brought to the public's attention countless examples of wasteful spending, including $59 million paid to luxury hotels in New York to house illegal immigrants, $1.5 million to advance DEI in Serbia's workplaces, $32,000 for a transgender comic book in Peru. The list goes on. But rather than applauding the work of DOGE, the left has launched a coordinated campaign to try to demonize Mr. Musk with the hope of shifting focus away from the disastrous waste, fraud, and abuse that occurred on Biden's watch. But guess what? It's not working. Because no matter what political party people hail from, the vast majority of Americans agree that $10 million worth of food funneled to Al-Qaeda was probably not the best use of taxpayer money. But there's another source, a key source of wasteful spending that DOGE and the subcommittee should set their sights on next, and that's Medicaid waste and fraud. While initially meant as a program for the truly needy, Medicaid has bloated into a massive welfare program for millions of able-bodied adults lured into the trap of government dependency. And as Medicaid has grown, so too has mismanagement. Today, more than $1 in $5 spent on Medicaid is improper. In Medicaid alone, fraud and mismanagement is on track to cost U.S. taxpayers, get this, more than $1 trillion over the next 10 years. When it comes to the problem of improper payments, the Medicaid program is the biggest culprit, encompassing nearly 1/3 of all federal improper payments. And more than 80% of Medicaid improper payments are due to one thing: eligibility errors. If Congress wants to help President Trump address wasteful spending, then targeting eligibility errors in Medicaid should be one of your top priorities. Bottom line, to address this challenge, Congress can take 3 decisive actions. So first, Congress can strengthen the Medicaid program through legislative action. That would include repealing Biden's disastrous Medicaid streamlining rule, which ties the hands of states trying to remove ineligible enrollees. You can and should do this through reconciliation, and it will produce $164 billion in savings if you do. You can also strengthen verification requirements to ensure only eligible individuals receive benefits and ensure a nationwide NAC is implemented without delay. Second thing Congress can do is help President Trump's DOGE effort by ensuring that entrenched partisan bureaucrats don't stand in the way of reform. So Musk and his DOGE team have already found hundreds of billions of dollars funneled into wasteful, fraudulent, and flat out insane projects. But they've only scratched the surface. If this much fraud has been exposed in just a few weeks, imagine what else is buried under layers of red tape and government excuses. But guess what? All of these insane projects have one thing in common. They were all approved and funded by unelected bureaucrats. And these and other entrenched bureaucrats are already pledging to fight against President Trump's efforts to improve government accountability and efficiency. Personnel is policy, and without competent staff to faithfully execute the president's agenda, the DOGE project will fail. And this is where Congress can help. Congress can support the president in carrying out his DOGE effort by making all executive branch employees at will, codifying the president's authority to fire unproductive or insubordinate agency employees as needed. At the same time, Congress can grant the president authority to permanently eliminate vacant positions and consolidate non-essential positions across agencies and departments to help promote efficiency and put the right people in the right seat. The third thing, Congress can make President Trump's DOGE cost-cutting and deregulatory reforms permanent by passing the REINS Act. And so there's only one big problem with the DOGE effort. Most of its work can be undone by a future president with a stroke of a pen. To make President Trump's DOGE reforms permanent, Congress must act. And the best way to do this is to pass the REINS Act. This would return Article 1 budgetary power of the purse to Congress while promoting deregulation. It would also help lock in the DOGE reforms and cement President Trump's legacy as the most consequential deregulatory and cost-cutting president in U.S. history. The American people are watching. It's time for Congress to act. Thank you, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Whitson. I now recognize Mr. Hetler Goddett for his opening statement.
Thank you, Chairwoman Green, Ranking Member Stansberry, and members of the subcommittee. My name is Dylan Hetler Goddett, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs at the Project on Government Oversight, or POGO. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you here today to talk about the critical issue of bringing more accountability and transparency to federal spending, including rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. Since our founding in 1981, POGO has been focused on promoting more accountability and rooting out wasteful spending and promoting efficiency, especially at the Department of Defense. We have a long and well-established track record on these issues, and we take it back when it comes to promoting a better and more effective government, which necessarily includes a federal government that is a good and responsible steward of taxpayer dollars. Let's take a moment to pause here to talk a little bit about terms that we're going to hear a lot today and the differences between them. Waste is different from fraud. Fraud is different from abuse, and abuse is different from both. When we talk about improper payments, they are a subset of those other three categories. But that doesn't tell us the whole picture either. Sometimes improper payments are a function of bad record keeping. Sometimes they are a function of outdated information technology systems. Sometimes they come about through human error, and sometimes they come about through negligence. There are a variety of reasons why improper payments happen. It just simply is not the case that improper payments are only a function of bad people doing bad things with bad intent. That doesn't mean we shouldn't focus on trying to mitigate improper payments, and that certainly doesn't mean that the American people should not be concerned with how their tax dollars are used. The good news is that there are some time-tested solutions and tools to help mitigate these problems. For example, when we think about the independence of inspectors general, we're talking about a resource that is extraordinarily valuable to the American people. In fiscal year 2023 alone, Inspector General identified over $93 billion worth of potential savings to taxpayers. Whistleblowers are also an incredible resource to the American taxpayer. Through the IRS's whistleblower program alone, billions of dollars have been recouped from tax cheats since the inception of that program in 2007. Whistleblowers have also played an instrumental role in helping the Department of Justice pursue False Claims Act cases that have resulted in billions of dollars in reclaims settlement costs. It seemed to me that if an administration were serious about wanting to root out waste, fraud, and abuse, they would support and resource whistleblowers and inspectors general. They would not demonize them, and they would certainly not fire them en masse in an unlawful midnight purge. There are other reforms we can think about too, reforms that are more technical, but just as important. Key statutes such as the Federal Funding Accountability and Transparency Act, the Data Act, and critical platforms like USAspending.gov were really important improvements and innovations when they came about, but they are in need of overhaul and reform. Currently, The status quo is that we have an extraordinarily hard time tracking federal dollars from end to end. This is due in large part to a broken chain of data collection, of reporting information, and the ability to monitor and track in real time what is happening with federal dollars. This informational black hole is where a lot of impropriety happens. It's where waste, fraud, and abuse live. And yes, this is where improper payments often happen. But more importantly, we also don't have a good, clear, and consistent way of understanding what is happening with tax dollars at the end point. What is the impact that we're having? What is the return on investment that we're having? We now have an annual budget of close to $7 trillion a year. We can't say with any degree of clarity and consistency what we're getting for all of that money. We have some more good news, though. There are bipartisan efforts, and there have been for years, to try and clean up this situation. We at POGO have had the privilege and pleasure of working on some of those initiatives. We were a part of the Federal Taxpayers' Right to Know Act being passed into law just a couple of years ago, which created for the very first time a program inventory of all the programs in the federal government, and that would be available to the public. We have worked with a member of this very committee, the House Oversight and Accountability Committee, to introduce a piece of legislation that would bring more transparency to federal sub-award reporting. We have supported and endorsed multiple pieces of legislation that take direct aim at the improper payments issue. We also have additional ideas that don't yet have congressional champions. One proposal is to clean up and modernize and standardize the award descriptions that are available in USA Spending to make them more useful and relevant. We have another proposal to harmonize the amount of data and information we collect between contract spending and non-contract spending. We stand ready, willing, and able to work with anybody who wants to work with us on these common sense solutions. Lastly, I want to put in a quick word for Congress.
Yeah.
And specifically, I want to...
The gentleman's time has expired.
Apologies.
Yes.
I can't see the flashing light.
That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Hetler. Got it. We appreciate your testimony. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes of questions. I'd like to thank our witnesses today for your testimonies and the suggestions that you have brought before this committee. I'd also like to thank Chairman Comer for this opportunity to chair the Historic Oversight Subcommittee on DOGE. Americans are shocked to learn that $2.7 trillion of their hard-earned tax dollars have been stolen or wasted in improper payments since 2003. You see, in the private sector, companies can't continue to run if they keep employees that allow waste and abuse with their resources. But that has continued for decades here in the federal government. Mr. Talcove, do private sector companies have a lower rate of improper payments than the federal government?
Yes, the fraud rate, that the criminals are taking advantage of in the public sector is around 20%. In the private sector, it's around 3%. And it's really because the tools that are used in the private sector aren't used in the public sector. Front-end identity verification, self-certification, and then finally making sure that individuals are who they say they are. If we start using these tools, you will see the fraud rate go down dramatically, because for the most part, this fraud isn't taking place by real individuals. It's individuals whose identities have been stolen on the dark web. They use that information pretending to be somebody else. And because of the antiquated systems, processes, and technologies in place in government programs, they're able to steal at scale.
Right. So, Mr. Talcove, we would say that private companies that pretty much have to exist on a 20% profit rate, they're not allowed. They can't continue to be successful if they were to allow their customers' data to be stolen like that and used by criminals. However, the federal government, who can continue printing checks and continue in operation, never fixes its problems because it can't be forced to go out of business. Would you agree with that? Yes or no?
Yes. One of the things I noticed during COVID was the criminals learned that government was the mark because it never runs out of money. Mm-hmm. And they focus on it at scale. And then the likelihood of getting caught is virtually zero.
I think it's outrageous for Americans to know that their identity can be stolen and then used for child trafficking, drug trafficking, and terrorism, like you stated in your opening statement. Ms. Royal, your testimony states that many programs operate under essentially an honor system in which applicants need not verify their identity, income, residency, or other key eligibility factors. You call this a trust everyone instead of a trust by verify approach. Does this mean the federal government in some states are giving out billions of dollars to individuals without verifying who they are or whether they meet program eligibility requirements?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
That's outrageous. Do states have enough incentive to prevent fraud and to recover improper payments?
No, and in fact, states are hesitant to spend their state dollars to protect federal dollars.
Would greater investment in program integrity efforts yield a positive return for taxpayers?
Yes, it could easily be self-funding.
Amazing. Mr. Whitson, your testimony states that both the Biden and Obama administrations issued rules and guidance that made it harder for states to verify eligibility for Medicaid. You say that repealing Biden's Medicaid streamlining rule would save 10 years because the rule restricts eligibility verification that states can perform. Can you explain why this rule is so costly?
Yeah, so the rule does a number of things, but for instance, it prohibits states from verifying eligibility more than once a year. So for non-disabled folks to just go in and look and say, hey, are you still eligible for the program? It says you are forbidden from doing that any more often than once a year. And so obviously people's lives change, and so they may become ineligible, and so it's designed to keep them on the program. Another thing, it prohibits in-person or phone interviews to verify their identity. So people apply for it, and then the person on the other end says, oh, I just want to call and make sure this is a real person, not someone in another country or whatever. The rule prohibits that. And so there's a number of other provisions. It also opens a lengthy reconsideration periods, and this is where illegal immigrants are able to obtain the benefits. And so basically it says once you get these benefits, you can't interfere with it for a 90-day period or longer. And so there's a number of horrible things.
So we can't verify if someone is illegal or legal receiving benefits. Just to correct that, yes or no?
You have to wait a state has to wait at least 90 days. And actually what we're seeing is it's led some states to wait as long as 13 years. And so on the program.
Unbelievable. My time has expired. Thank you very much. I now recognize Mr. Lynch from Massachusetts for 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. First of all, let me congratulate you and also Ms. Stansbury on your new positions. And I want to thank the witnesses for your testimony. We've already heard some good ideas about how to work together. And Mr. Hetler-Gaudette, I for one would be most open to working with POGO and trying to work on some of the legislative ideas that you have to actually get at some of this waste, fraud, and abuse. Since this is my first opportunity to speak in this new subcommittee as the representative for the 8th Congressional District in Massachusetts, I want to first of all make clear that my primary purpose in seeking appointment to this subcommittee is for the singular and sacred purpose to defend our democracy, which I believe is under attack in this country, and to uphold my oath to support and defend the Constitution against those who might secretly or openly seek its destruction. Make no mistake, this is a moment for representative democracy. This is a test of our resolve. In the coming days and weeks, we will all get to decide whether we stand with a couple of billionaires who, despite their own financial successes, still harbor such grievances in their hearts that after all that democracy has provided to them, they remain animated by the desire to dismantle this democratic government and to punch down at some of the weakest and most vulnerable in our society. Two men who clearly understand that the easiest way to incite large numbers
numbers 10, 15, 10, 20, 10, 30, 10, 40, 10, 50. they heard that. Nice house, baby. Now she finally called me back. See if she can get me a mailbox number. This is crazy. No mailbox number. Let's see what she say. Where is your mailbox number? I don't have the mailbox number.
Thank you for calling the Technician Help Hotline. Our calls may be monitored or recorded for quality or training purposes. Please listen closely as our menu options have changed. For dispatch, press 1.
Hi, good morning. This is Van from Pulse Dispatch. How can I help you?
Got a job ID number for you.
Oh, sure. Can I have it, Douglas?
167-3690.
Thank you. There you go. Pull up the job for Dana Mitchell, a refrigerator, right?
That's right.
How can I help you?
Can you hear me okay? You broke up. You there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Go ahead.
What's the mailbox number?
Mailbox number?
Yeah, to the address. If I get to the street, I got to know what's the number of the mail.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let me just check here, Douglas. Yeah, when the customer booked the appointment on our website, I believe they forgot to put in their street name. So what we need to do, we can try to call the customer so we can try to confirm the correct street number so we would know to where you can proceed with the job, okay?
That's why I'm calling, because they don't give me the phone number. I can't even call.
Yeah. Okay, let me just go ahead and to inform the team now, Douglas, so they can reach out to the customer to confirm the correct address, okay? We will get back to you directly on the chat once we confirm the right address.
Okay.
All right, anything else that I can help you?
Nope.
Okay, thank you for calling Pulse. You have a good one. Goodbye.
They don't give me the phone number because they scared I'm going to do a side job. I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, yeah. Oh, come back. They're all over me. So
you calling? Check empty phone. Please hold while I try to connect you.
goddamn go, man.
Calling check empty phone. Please hold while I try to connect you.
Damn. did not order this. Somebody need to tell me what the fuck is going on.
Thank you for calling the Technician Help Hotline. Our calls may be monitored or recorded for quality or training purposes. Please listen closely as our menu options have changed. For dispatch, press.
This is Carl. How can I assist?
Yeah, ticket number 1673690.
Okay, bear with me. Let me just check.
Customer just chatted back. She did not order this service call. I can't reach her. I don't have a phone number. What's going on? And will I be paid for doing a dry run? Because I'm in her neighborhood now.
Bear with me.
There's no mailbox.
So is this for the TV installation?
No, this is Dana. It's a Samsung refrigerator. Dana Mitchell.
Can you repeat the number again to me? 1673790.
3690.
Okay, sorry, missed that out.
She's saying she did not place an order. If you check the chat, you can see where she's not giving me the mailbox number, and she's saying that she did not place this order.
Okay, checking on that. Bear with me. Okay. Can you give me like a minute or two? I'll be right back.
Sure. Hello?
Okay, Douglas?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you already update your status in the app?
Want me to update the status in the app? Okay, I'm gonna do it again. Still has no mailbox number. It says, unfortunately, we will have to cancel the appointment. Will I be paying for wasting my gas? Hello? Hello?
I'm already checking. Bear with me. Hold on, Douglas.
Somebody from dispatch.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at here, and I'm pretty sure you received it. That Dana is in the hospital.
Oh, she's in the hospital?
Mm-hmm.
And chatting at the same time, huh? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, you guys.
Hope this is.
You guys got it from here, I guess.
Yeah, but the thing is.
It's gone. It's gone. Somebody took it off. Now, will I be compensated for my trip charge?
Nothing to worry, sir. You will be at least receiving the dispatch fee as long as you update your appointment.
It's gone.
Or like this appointment under. Okay.
It's gone. Completely gone. Let me read it to you. It disappeared, and then it says this appointment has been canceled by the customer and has been flagged for suspicious activity. Please note any appointments completed outside of this post app will result in a holdout or payout. Crazy.
But yes, don't worry, since you actually brought this to our attention, you're gonna receive the dispatch fee.
Okay. And your name is?
My name is Carl, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. Reroute and have a great day.
You too. Thanks for calling, Pulse. Have a nice day.
Wasting my damn time.
Hello.
Were you planning on calling me back?
When you called?
I've been calling all morning.
Really?
Both phones.
I'm sitting right here at this phone. I didn't hear it.
I was like, I'm gonna give you one more goddamn shot before I have to come up there. You know I got my belt on, right? You do know I'm wearing my belt.
I thought it didn't fit.
I'm talking about my old belt.
Yeah. I didn't. Hold on. Let me see.
Whip your ass. Nigga ain't calling me back.
I don't have no missed call from you on
I
my
don't know
cellular.
what's wrong with your phone, but both of the phones should have missed calls. I was about
Did
to
you
give
leave me a message?
No. I just went back and forth, thinking you was in the break room or some shit. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna have to put a little shocker attachment to your backside. So when
I need you to. I need to make sure my manager is aware of what I'm doing. And
your man. Come on now. You gonna let me do or what?
oh no. Donna Blair. I called Donna Blair and left her. I did not send it to you.
Look at that classic.
They did that.
Classic cut.
Because I called Donna Blair myself and left her a message. Yeah. That's why it's...
Oh, they got classics.
What's going on?
I'm looking at the classic autos. Classic autos for sale. I was just wondering why you ain't calling about it.
Oh, I didn't even see that. I'm sorry.
You don't want to call me no more? First, I thought it was on call block.
Why would you be? Come on now. You're going too far. You go too far with things. It's just, I mean, you already went a whole week and not spoke to me, so. Then when I get in the bed with you the covers, you turn my fan away from me. You take all the covers.
I did not take all the covers. You took all the covers.
You did.
You took all the covers.
It's okay.
And then you disappeared, evaporated.
Yeah. It's like, listen.
I even gave you the remotes and shit. I was like, I done gave you the goddamn remote. I turned around, you done evaporated. Hop your ass out of here.
You know what it is.
How does the foot?
You hold your phone more than you hold it.
You see what I be doing?
No, I don't.
What I be doing then?
I don't know. All I know is that I look up at you, you're on your phone, and you were smiling real hard yesterday. So that's why I was like...
That's why I'm smiling. I'm out here making the goddamn money. You saw me closing on the phone last night. Yeah.
Okay.
You think I'm going to cheat on you right in your face? Come on now. Come on.
It won't be the first time.
When the hell? You ain't cheating on me. And that don't even count. That's some bullshit.
Okay.
When they count is when they count when I come home smelling like ass.
Well, see, I be at work, so when you come home and smelling like it, you done took your shower already, you know. So I would now.
I come home smelling like ass, then you got me.
Again, I wouldn't know you
You're
come
a
home
very
before
lucky
me.
and fortunate girl to know that I don't fucking cheat on you.
Oh,
Bitch, get out the way.
I'm fortunate.
You're fortunate that you got a man that don't cheat.
Yeah.
So you saw me clicking up money. That's what I'm doing out here right now. They only got one ATM motherfucking machine. God damn.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me call you back. I need to talk to my manager about something.
I
Let me
thought
call
I
you
was
right
your
back.
manager. What the fuck is going on here? How the fuck you gonna have two managers?
Hold on. Let me call you right back.
Why you gotta hang up? Come on now. You ain't got no fucking money. Dumbass fuck. Sorry, y'all. I hate when people in front of me don't know what the fuck they doing. Damn, all my cards fell out. Going home, goddammit. Come on, man. You ain't got no money in there. Dumb motherfucker.
Follow the leader. Exploit the dynamic forces of hatred and fear. Madam Chair, if we're going after waste, fraud, and abuse, let's start with abuse. Abuse of power. As of yesterday, there were 55 lawsuits under consideration by the federal courts across our nation as a result of Elon Musk's and President Trump's unlawful acts. Many of those lawsuits have already been sustained by the federal district courts and and orders have been rendered to undo those unlawful acts. But this is just the beginning, and Congress has an important role to play, and I, for one, look forward to that opportunity. This is a moment of great consequence for our country and for our democracy, and I remain grateful to the good people of the 8th Congressional District of Massachusetts who sent me here. Mr. Hetler-Gaudette, again, happy to join you on some of your efforts. POGO has worked very closely with our IG community, is that right, the Inspector Generals?
Yeah, that's correct, Congressman.
I know your work is very much similar to what we ask our inspectors generals to undertake. I want to ask you, what do you think? So in the most recent report from the inspector generals, and this is the Council of the Inspector Generals, a nonpartisan group on integrity and efficiency.
Who had
in
4
government.
years to find
They
these
identified
problems.
more than $93 billion in potential savings. So the first thing that President Trump did coming into office was to fire
That's right.
17 agency inspectors general.
That's right.
What can you tell us from POGO's standpoint? What does that do to our ability to identify and
It
root
puts the
out
right people in place. 'Cause
waste,
it took
fraud,
them
and
4
abuse?
years, and they didn't do nothing about it. That's why
Thank you,
they were
Congressman.
fired.
I would say, to put it simply, it completely undermines our ability to root out waste, fraud, and abuse.
he's for
Inspector
them.
General exists for essentially one purpose, and they were originally created in the immediate aftermath of Watergate. And I think you all probably do not need me to give you a history lesson at all on what happened in the Watergate era. There's a reason they were created at that time, because there was a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse happening, and there were not cops on the beat that were internal, that were independent, that were situated in agencies to be able to find these things
Why
and
didn't they
expose them and
find
do
them
something
last
about
year?
them.
How
That's what
come they
Inspector
didn't
General
find them the
exists
year
to do.
before that?
So it's
How come they
completely
didn't find them
anathema
in
to-
2021?
I'd say anathema to any stated mission to find cost saving and to root out waste, fraud, and abuse, to fire Inspector General and to undermine them. It makes no sense. Those two things do not add up.
They do add up.
Thank you very much. The firings that occurred on the when President Trump came to the office included the Special Inspector General for Afghan Reconstruction, Mr. Sopko. I actually did over 20 trips to Afghanistan working with him. He actually uncovered $4 billion in savings in rooting out American taxpayer waste being conducted in Afghanistan. The IG at the Department of Defense, the agency.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I yield back. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Cloud.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For far too long, DC politicians have gotten away with measuring their personal value and worth by how much of other people's money they give away. And for far too long, they self-righteously have opined that the spending was for altruistic purposes given out of care and compassion. For far too long, they've been more concerned with looking like they cared than having enough care and concern to actually do the due diligence to ensure that the tax dollars were being used wisely and effectively. And for far too long, those of us who've worked to uncover waste, fraud, and abuse have had to deal with what amounts to an unconstitutional fourth branch of permanent bureaucracy that has too often worked to ignore, obfuscate, delay, and frustrate our efforts to bring transparency and oversight. Over the last few weeks, the DOGE effort has begun to uncover not only how massive the waste, fraud, and abuse is, but also the extent at which DC politicians and too many obstinate bureaucrats have coordinated to create what is essentially the largest money laundering scheme in history. And while Americans have been working to make ends meet, they have been using taxpayer dollars to fund unnecessary, egregious, and even evil things here at home and around the world. Thankfully, in DOGE, we have a president bringing the leadership needed and a focused effort, along with the talent, technology, tools, and transparency to this waste, fraud, and abuse. And to those who would stand opposed to this effort, I would just point out, while it's understandable to find waste, fraud, and abuse that has grown and metastasized in this government even over decades, certainly accelerated over the last few years, to continue to protect it is corruption. I want to thank the chair for beginning this war on waste on this side of Pennsylvania Avenue and bringing together this committee. This effort is so important as we work to relieve the Americans, people of this burden of waste, fraud, and abuse. Mr. Talco, you mentioned in your written statement and talked about it in your statement at the beginning that this waste, fraud, and abuse is a national security threat. And certainly one of the challenges facing us that is a national security threat is our fiscal situation. And so we have got to find ways to find savings to the American people in order to bring confidence to the bond markets, to put our country on a fiscal footing, and to reverse the curse, so to speak, that we are placing on our children and our grandchildren. You mentioned a couple threats, though. You mentioned internal threats. You said that these cases involve government employees, individuals entrusted with administering benefits who, instead of using their positions to approve fraudulent claims, override security controls, or even sell sensitive claimant information for profit. Now, this is not every federal employee for sure, but within the context of people who are trying to give their best effort, we have an internal threat. But you also mentioned transnational fraud rings, terrorist organizations, nation states, North Korea, nuclear weapons programs funded by our tax dollars, China, Nigeria, Iran, Romania, Russia, not our friends necessarily, that are being funded by taxpayer dollars. Could you give us some examples of how this is happening?
Yeah. So when you think about what happened during the pandemic, $1 trillion was stolen. 70% of that money went overseas. And I can give you some examples. In a Western state, they had more people applying for unemployment insurance benefits than they had individuals over 18. The people that were stealing the money from Romania were using it to facilitate other fraud schemes that include fentanyl, that include doing things to impact our democracy. On the insider threat, right, the first thing you have to say,
oh, now you decide to call me back after playing with your manager.
At least somebody's playing with me. You seem to be holding your phone a little bit more than you're holding your woman, and that's becoming a
You
problem.
didn't want me to touch you. You don't remember that comment?
What?
You
No, because
didn't
you
want
make shit
me
up as you go
to
along,
touch
don't
you.
you?
Nah, I know what you
Did I? You make shit up as you go along.
I said, I'll stay over here. And you act like you didn't
Who
want me
said
to.
that?
I told you I'll stay over here. Yeah, like
I
I'm
think
not.
it was Tree.
You
I
said,
think
you
I
said
think,
something
hold
like,
on.
I'm not
You're
done
trying to
with
talk
you.
over me
I'm
now.
not done with you.
This
I'm
is
not
your
done with you. You don't remember
narcissistic
that?
behavior.
I said, okay,
This
I'll
is
stay
your
over here. I won't
It
touch
was
you.
not me.
You be
I'm not sure
forgetting
who
what
you
you
was
be
talking
saying.
to.
You be forgetting.
I think you're still living in your past.
No,
And
past was
you are
just
now bringing
yesterday.
it into your
You said that
future.
yesterday. You said that yesterday.
It wasn't me, baby. You
Yes,
got
it
the
was.
wrong girl that you're talking to.
I know what you
Because
said, babe.
you said, this is what you said to me. It hurts to turn over on this side. I can't.
You already know that.
This side of me. That is what you said to me.
But you already know that.
I never said to you not to touch me.
Yes, you
Ever
did.
Did I say those words? No,
Yes, you did.
I did not. Okay.
Either way,
I'm
I
not
wasn't
about to
trying
sit
not
here
to.
and-
I wasn't trying not to touch you.
I'm not about to go.
You
back
said
and
no,
forth
don't touch me.
with
I'm trying to
this.
put my leg up. No, you don't remember that part of the conversation? You said no, I'm trying to
you
put
were
my leg up. Anyway.
No, baby. You were definitely dreaming, or this is something you done conjured up in your own head.
Hey, what's your point right now?
My point is you're holding your phone more than you're holding me at nighttime. And I have a problem with that. That's
Then do something about
so
it.
that is
babe.
why I
don't
did.
you-
I left
why
the
don't
room.
you-
I'm not gonna
why
cook. I'm
don't
not
you
gonna
let-
look.
why
I'm gonna
don't-
leave the room.
Okay, I'm not. I don't.
I'ma just leave the room.
With you about that. Anyway. Did you set up for 4:30 today for your doctor's appointment?
That's already been set up.
Okay. And so that means you're going to be home at what time? You assume.
I do not know.
Does that mean that you're going to miss your Fayetteville appointment?
Fayetteville appointment is tomorrow at 3:00.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, I have an 8:30 appointment with my endocrinologist. I'm about to call them now and reschedule it because are we leaving tonight?
We
Because
should.
I first told you that you could. I told you you could just go ahead and go because being that you're doing everything by yourself, sleeping alone, eating alone, we ain't doing nothing else together. I'm a bit confused about why I'm even here.
What do you want to do, LaShawn?
And it just feels like you just want to be by
What do
yourself.
you want to do, LaShawn?
As long as you have your phone and your remote, seems like you're good.
I keep asking you a question. Yeah, like you can't hear me.
Because I'm not going to answer it.
Okay.
It's not about what I want to do. It's about what's happening, and this is to see what's going on in this relationship.
Ain't nothing going on
I-
except you trying to have your way right now. And I keep asking you a question, you keep refusing to answer. So I don't know what to do. To continue to ask you questions is all I can do. And hopefully I get an answer.
You're something else, boy. You are
For real.
something else.
I'm trying to figure out what time I'm leaving, what time you gonna get home, and you on some other shit. I'm waiting on you to get down to your doctor's appointment so we can figure out what time we leaving. And you worry about me on the phone. Like I'm having an affair or something. I'm not having an affair.
I don't know what's going on.
I keep telling you what be going on, but you don't want to listen to it. The phone, I'm running those phone calls I was working on last night, right now. Trying to pay for the gas to get us where we got to go and whatever money I can conjure up to pay for what we got to be doing. Now I'm in Marietta. All them phone calls you see me clicking on last night, I just made the money off of that. And I'm going to fill the gas tank up. I'm going home and unload the motherfucking truck. And I guess what? We would leave tonight. That's Friday, Saturday. We leaving Sunday or Monday? Sunday night or Saturday when we leave?
No, We gotta leave Saturday. My mom is in town.
So
My
we
mom
only
and my
there
daughter
for
moves
2
into
nights.
town tomorrow.
We only there for Friday and Saturday.
We're leaving Saturday after we finish with Dennis.
Okay.
So do you have
2 days
a
of
time
close.
with Dennis on Saturday?
It's up to you. It depends on what we don't get done Friday. What are we not going to get done with Friday? We got to do Saturday. What's the most important thing we got to do when we get there is the recreation center, my tuxedo, the food. Those 3 things I think should be done tomorrow because it's a work day. We don't know who's going to be open on Saturday, right?
Right.
Okay, so tuxedo, I don't know what you're doing about your wedding dress, if that's going to be taken care of. The catering, what am I missing?
Have you talked to your boy to see if he has some suggestions?
He knows I'm coming. I already talked to him. Okay. But I'm saying,
So
what
we're
else
gonna
am I
go to
missing?
We're going to go to, that's it, the cake. But I guess, I don't know what we're going to do about the cake.
You're going to go to Publix?
First, let's go and see about this rec center. We need to also stop in.
But that's at 3 o'clock. That's at 3
3
o'clock. I think if that's at 3 o'clock, we need to go get my tuxedo squared away.
Early morning.
Yeah.
So we getting up early Friday. Where are we going to sleep when we go into town?
We'll worry about that when we get there. I don't got no problem getting a room, so we'll see. We're calling up Lisa. Lisa ain't home, then we just get a room. I'll call Lisa before we leave. And if Lisa had got issues, then we'll use our little apps and get us a discounted room or something. That's not even
All right, so
important.
we just need something.
Unless you want to go over Aunt
that
Dora's
is-
house.
That is important. What you mean? How where we gonna sleep?
I said, unless you want to go
That is
hang out with Aunt Doris, spend the night with her. She got enough damn
That's up to
room.
you, girl. That's up to you.
Because I'm quite sure she'll love to have you.
And that's up to you to call your family and see if we can come crash at night, because it's only a night that we need to sleep down. Because we out Saturday, and get a hotel room, or we could, if somebody will let us sleep at their house for the night. We coming in late because we're leaving late, so we're coming in late. And first thing that Friday morning, we got to get up and start rolling. So while you're getting your tuxedo done, I will to see if they can fit me, like if they could just size
Yeah, they
me
might have
up.
something for you there. Might be able to do both of them there.
No, my dress I'm getting from, I already got my dress.
But
I just need your suit.
But you should see what they got, though. I bet you they got some. We'll rent both of them.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see, but I just need your suit to be matching my dress. That's all that matters for me. So I got the picture of my dress on my phone, and
you show it to
once
them,
I
and I
show
bet
it
you
to
they
you,
got it. Let's make a
I'll show
wager.
them.
You show them the picture, and I bet you they go for. I bet you they got it.
No, because my dress comes with diamonds. It's
Real
sparkles.
diamonds?
I don't know. It depends on the
You
price.
better not walk through them Fergusons with no real diamonds. They're gonna pluck them motherfuckers. Aunt Margie will hit your ass. I see
Yeah.
her right now. She's gonna be pitching them bitches off.
My dress comes with, like diamonds, glitter,
thugs.
sparkly, like, yeah.
Ferguson's some thugs. They better be fake. I'm telling you.
I don't
You be
know.
like, Dad, you be like, Dad, why your family keep pitching on me?
I don't know if they're gonna have what I want at your place. All I need to do is get size, so I'll know what size dress to order. That's the only thing I need from, that's all I need to do is just get size, so I know what size dress that I'm ordering.
I'm betting money that they got something that you're gonna fall in love with.
We shall see. So we're gonna go to Peyton's or whatever. We're gonna
Yeah,
go
the
to
place for the
Peyton's.
week that was closed. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go there and we're going to sit down and maybe eat after
You gotta take James with
you
us.
guys. Right after you guys do your tuxedo stuff, that's gonna be one of our stops to go and eat and see.
Then we'll
if
talk to
this-
James
if
about.
they get
We'll talk to James
food.
about your catering services versus what he got to offer. And then maybe that might
Versus
be a
what
good
he
thing to
got
do.
to
Go
offer.
eat at the place that whichever one we recommend. Why don't we just go eat there?
Right. We'll do that Friday. But remember, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so we gotta pick up your mom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
I
Valentine's
need
Day.
me a
So
good
for my
laugh.
Valentine's Day, I gotta spend my Valentine's Day with everybody but my man.
I'm gonna be there.
I know, but I just don't have
Mama ain't got no man.
my stuff.
I mean,
I
damn.
ain't said nothing about your mama. I said everybody. I'm not just
She's
single.
gonna be our Valentine's Day date.
Okay.
Okay.
She will be our okay.
We gonna
She's
sit
our
there and let her crack us the fuck up like she always do, then we gonna take her back home.
Okay, well, keep her aware. Let her know
And
we're
we
coming
gotta
to
get
get
her
her.
Valentine's Day card. She like cards.
Okay. What about chocolate? We can get her some chocolate too. Some flowers.
That'd be nice, but she always like cards with things in them.
Okay.
But let's take my mom on a date. I don't know how long I've got my mom. You know what I'm saying? She right in that
That's
way.
fine. We can just make sure you give her a heads up that we are coming to scoop her up, and for her to be dressed and ready.
If Lisa don't have a bigger plan, knowing Lisa might take her
You
to.
call your family and fine. I mean, you said we was going back to that Lebanese, so.
I know.
Okay.
It'll be alright.
So we
Whatever
can-
happens, gonna be alright.
Just call your mom and let her know that we're coming to scoop her up.
I'm gonna tell her LaShawn said call you. I got it, but I'm just playing with you.
I get it. I gotta go. I gotta make some phone calls here. I'm off tomorrow, and I gotta cancel Monday for my doctor.
You need to ask that guy how much you have to put up for MRI, babe. Just ask.
Okay.
Can he bill you for the MRI? You need the MRI. You gotta know what the fuck you're dealing with.
All right, I'll do that.
All right.
I got my appointment at 4:30. You're not coming?
Who you gonna
You're
be
not
at?
coming to the appointment?
Where's it gonna be at?
Wait. Where are you on the 16th?
At Emory.
Me at my doctor.
Oh,
Yeah.
no. You try to get me all caught up. I hate your neighbors and your neighborhood.
All right.
Just call me the moment you let me know what's up.
Now, I paid $198.04 at the office visit, and now they're billing me $5.60. Wow. So I gotta pay $5.60 plus today's visit. Insurance didn't pay anything.
Yes, what's the use of having insurance?
Total charges was $327. She told me $194. They adjusted off $123, and now I owe $5.60.
Call your insurance company and tell them you think you need an MRI. What can you work out? You don't have $5,000. Call them, yeah, that's a good idea. Call them and see what they say. At least you know where you stand. And then when you get there, tell homeboy, let's get an MRI so you know what you're fucking with. Guessing ain't good enough.
Care credit. Pay for medical expenses not covered by insurance with the Care Credit card. It's like a loan for medical. Accounts that remain unpaid for more than 90 days until the service are considered delinquent. When did you get this mail, babe, that you put on the table? This is what I picked up.
Yesterday.
This morning? Okay, good. All right, well, I got the appointment at 4:30. I mean, it's $5.60.
All right, do what you do.
All right.
Later.
All right. Later, baby. I'll talk to you
Love
later.
you too, baby.
All right.
Cry, baby. Yeah, cry, baby.
This is my dad, Chuck Norris.
Insider threat, right? The first thing you have to say, and my dad was a public servant, is 99% of people that work in the public sector are honest, hardworking individuals. But there are some, and what you need is data and technology to root that out. There were examples during the pandemic. There were some examples even of last week where people got into the Medicaid system in a Western state and stole $50 million in less than 4 months. So you have to have these controls in place, right? These aren't individuals stealing, Mr. Cloud. These are organized criminal groups, both domestic and transnational.
That, as you mentioned, taxpayers are being forced to fund the demise of our own country. Mr. Whitson, I wanted to ask you, because there's a lot of talk about reconciliation right now. You mentioned Medicaid and what could be done to bring a pretty substantial amount of savings, and this is without affecting those who truly need Medicaid and for what the purpose of the program was extended for. Now,
The gentleman's time has expired. Does the witness want to answer the question?
No, only to say that yes, there's a tremendous amount of savings that can be found from the streamlining rule, but also work requirements in the program is another big area that can be done in reconciliation, and that's could save a significant amount as well. $241 billion in federal spending over 10 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. I now recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Garcia.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all of our witnesses for being here. And I want to just start off by making something clear. I think we're all here to fight against the lies, the corruption, and the attacks on our social safety net. Now, we should in no way be cooperating with House Republicans who want to shut down the Department of Education and destroy Medicare and Medicaid. And we should not stand by as the richest man on the planet gives himself and his companies huge tax cuts while the American people get absolutely nothing. Now, I find it ironic, of course, that our chairwoman, Congresswoman Green, is in charge of running this committee. Now, in the last Congress, Chairwoman Green literally showed a dick pic in our oversight congressional hearing. So I thought I'd bring one as well.
Let's see.
Now, this, of course, we know is President Elon Musk. He's also the world's richest man. He was the biggest political donor in the last election. He has billions of dollars in conflicts of interest, and we know that he is leading a power grab, also abided by and encouraged by Donald Trump and, of course, the chairwoman, Congresswoman Green. But I also want to run through what DOGE actually is going to do. It's a demolition plan that's going to run through our government. DOGE is trying to abolish the Department of Education. That means opportunities denied to kids. It means you're ripping away opportunities for children with disabilities who are dependent on this money. You're also halting medical research, which is also critical, which we have to also stop. The idea that we're going to eliminate or destroy the Department of National Institutes of Health and NIH is crazy. Let's talk about the Department of Labor. We're talking about protections for working people across this country, where people can actually complain about abuses their companies are making against them and their coworkers. Workers are now going to be in danger. Let's also talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, another huge issue for us. Think about the scammers and fraudsters that will be empowered across this country because Elon Musk wants, essentially, these companies have more power over consumers and over people across this country. Look at the Centers for Disease and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. That is actually what's being discussed partly today. Healthcare, we're talking about being denied to millions of poor people, working class people across this country. And now, of course, they're on to their largest target, the U.S. Social Security Administration. We're talking about the destruction of the actual social safety net in this country. We know that 1 in 5 Americans collect Social Security, seniors, disabled people. This entire plan is about hurting the American social safety net and destroying our institutions. And it's important that we actually call out what is happening at this subcommittee. This is not about working with the richest man on the planet. This is actually about empowering. This committee wants to empower the richest person in the world to hurt people so they can take all of this money that they so-called want to save and then give it to themselves, their companies, and their billionaire friends. That is the attack that is happening in this committee and across this country, and it's important that we call it out. We also know, of course, that Elon Musk is sending his unqualified DOGE staff to carry out this agenda across all of these agencies. And in some cases, to carry out this agenda across all of these agencies. And in some cases, actually teenage staffers. No accountability, no experience, and problematic records. They're trying to rob you, and they're
what?
probably a minor. Thank you, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields, and I now recognize the gentleman from South Carolina, Mr. Timmons, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I find it sad that my colleagues across the aisle can't take this seriously. We have $36 trillion in debt. We run an annual almost $2 trillion deficit. When I got elected 6 years ago, we had $21 trillion in debt. So in 6 years, we've added over $15 trillion to the debt. And guess what? President Trump ran on fixing this problem. President Trump told the American people he would right the ship financially. And he said during the campaign that Elon Musk was going to be the person to lead this charge. The man that has turned business after business around. He's the richest man on the planet because he succeeds at his endeavors. And that's why President Trump has appointed him the head of this effort. This is a very serious problem. And it's incredibly hypocritical that my colleagues across the aisle are complaining about this because Joe Biden signed his name and wanted the American people to believe that he had the ability to forgive $250 billion with a signature. Guess what? Supreme Court ruled he did not. That's our system of checks and balances. The president, Biden, he clearly was experiencing cognitive decline. He didn't even have the ability to be charged with a crime as determined by his own Department of Justice. But he signs his name and he thinks it gives $250 billion away, redistributes taxpayer dollars. It's just crazy that we can't come together to address the greatest national security threat facing this country, our debt. Now to the task at hand, Medicaid fraud. Mr. Talcove, if we implement enhanced identity verification and enhanced income verification, what will happen? How much money will we save?
You'll save hundreds of billions of dollars. Identity verification, elimination of self-certification, and monitoring beneficiaries will prevent these transnational criminal groups from accessing those systems at scale so legitimate people who need the benefits can get them in a timely fashion.
So we're going to get actual benefits to people, to American citizens that are in need faster, because if you do it electronically through web-based, like they did in Missouri, where the pilot program saved almost 20% of Medicaid dollars. So all we have to do is adopt what has already been proven in Missouri, and we'll save 20%. To the people out there listening, we spend almost $900 billion every year on Medicaid. And if 20% of that is saved, that's almost $200 billion. We got a $1.8 trillion annual deficit. We just knocked off $200 billion. Let's keep this train going. The fact that the Democrats are filing lawsuit after lawsuit to impede the efforts of President Trump to right our fiscal ship is unforgivable. It's unforgivable. Mr. Talcove, you talked about pandemic fraud. I have a bill that would cause the IRS to share data with the Small Business Administration and the FBI and the Department of Justice that would show that you were ineligible for PPP loans and you got them. So I think that would save probably $100 billion. Do you think that we should go back and take money away from people that fraudulently got COVID money?
Yeah. During the pandemic, the PPP program was a virtual buffet for fraudsters. And it was because of that 1974 Privacy Act, where data sharing and matching is virtually impossible. Congress needs to change that.
But we can do it retroactively. We can find the people that stole this money, hold them accountable, probably get some of the money back. So I already have that bill filed. That bill, I think, would probably get $100 billion. So now we got enhanced identity verification, enhanced income verification that has been proven in Missouri. It does work. So I'm working on that bill. We're going to drop it soon. That's $200 billion. There's a competition in Congress. I think we should have a competition on this committee. I got $300 billion in savings proposed. We got to all pull our weight because we have such a massive problem right now. But I would just ask my colleagues across the aisle to get out of the way if you don't want to help. If you don't want to help right the fiscal ship in this country, get out of the way. Stop filing lawsuit after lawsuit. We do not have the financial ability to continue down this path, and we're going to save this country with or without you. You can kick and scream all the way, or you can get out of the way. I prefer the former. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The gentleman yields. I now recognize the gentleman from Texas, Mr. Kassar.
This subcommittee is supposedly about looking into waste, fraud, and abuse. So I'd like to start talking about independent inspector generals who are supposed to be looking into waste, fraud, and abuse. Mr. Talcove, do you know how many inspector generals at agencies that were investigating Elon Musk's companies have been fired by the Trump-Musk administration?
No.
It is 5. Ms. Royal, the Inspector General of the Department of Labor had 17 open investigations into Tesla and SpaceX. Do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
No.
They fired him, and I think y'all know. Mr. Whitson, the Inspector General of the Department of Transportation was investigating Tesla. Do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
No.
They fired him.
They were fired. The Department of Defense's Inspector General was looking into SpaceX. Mr. Hedler, do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
I believe he was fired.
Thank you. I think everybody on the panel knows what the answer to these questions were. The U.S. Department of Agriculture Inspector General was investigating Musk's Neuralink. Mr. Talcove, now I'll ask you again under oath, do you know what Mr. Trump did to that Inspector General that was looking into one of Musk's companies?
No.
He was fired. The Inspector General at the EPA was repeatedly taking on Tesla. Mr. Hedler, since it seems that you're answering the questions that everyone knows the answer to, do you know what the Trump-Musk administration did to that Inspector General?
I believe he was also fired.
Also fired. At least 5 Inspector Generals that were looking into Elon Musk's companies were fired by the Trump-Musk administration. These Inspector Generals, who are independent, protected by law, they are the people that find the waste, fraud, and abuse and found many of the cases of waste, fraud, and abuse that have been brought up today, fired because they were looking into Elon Musk. At the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, which is supposed to protect workers from getting their unions busted by folks like Elon Musk, made functionally broken by the so-called Department of Government Efficiency that really is the Department of Government Efficiency for Elon Musk, not for you. They are trying to shut down the Department of Education, the Department of Labor. You know what Elon Musk doesn't seem to be looking into? His own contracts. Again, I'll ask you, Mr. Talcove, do you know how much money a day Mr. Musk will receive from the federal government for his contracts?
How much?
No.
The answer is $8 million a day. Just last year, Elon Musk was promised $3 billion from close to 100 contracts with the federal government. Ms. Royal, do you know how much the average person in this country who survives on Social Security, one of our seniors who's worked their entire life, about how much they have to survive on a day?
I do not.
$65 a day. We're not looking into Elon Musk's $8 million a day. This subcommittee, chaired by Marjorie Taylor Greene and the House Republicans, is looking into your grandmother's $65 a day. Let me be clear. I think we would all support taxpayer savings, look into money we might needlessly send to billionaires and big corporations, find taxpayer savings, and send it back to your hardworking family. But instead, what House Republicans and the Trump-Musk administration want to do is they want to look into your kids' lunch money, your kids' teacher's salary, into your grandparents' Social Security. They want to take that money and give it out in billionaire tax cuts. And they're talking about that in committee tomorrow, in budget committee tomorrow. They just released their plan. So let me be clear. When Republicans talk about government efficiency in this Congress, they're not looking into billionaires who don't pay their taxes. They're not looking into billionaires who get rich off of government contracts. They're not looking into Elon Musk firing watchdogs who are supposed to keep him accountable. They're looking at cutting your public schools. They're going straight for your Social Security. They're coming straight for cancer research. They're coming straight for the Department of Education. They're not looking at big tech. They're not looking at big pharma because those people fund their campaigns. If this committee were serious about rooting out waste from our federal government, then today's whole hearing would be about how Musk and Donald Trump are firing the independent watchdogs who've done this work for decades. Instead, my Republican colleagues' actual goal on this committee is to distract from Trump and from Musk's corrupt war on accountability. This will not be a subcommittee dedicated to making government efficient for everyday people. It's about helping Elon Musk and Donald Trump be as efficient as possible in robbing our government and handing out our government services to the rich. So this seems that this subcommittee is just
the gentleman's
like
time
an agency
has expired.
After
The gentleman's
a sham,
time has expired.
A total sham.
The American people are $36 trillion in debt. It certainly seems reasonable that someone has been fired. I now recognize the gentleman from Tennessee.
You're going to put us
Mr.
further in debt with your billionaire
You're
tax
not
laws.
recognized. Mr. Burchett, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chair Lady. The gravy train for a lot of these folks, it's been on biscuit wheels and it's about to run off the deadgum tracks, and it's about time. Could you imagine standing up here and defending waste, fraud, and abuse? But I think that's what we're seeing. When people squeal and don't ask questions, I think it shows the American public what the heck's going on. And that little gravy train is getting ready to run out. The spigot is getting ready to be turned off. Mr. Talcove, that's correct how you say your name, brother?
Yes, sir.
All right. How can the federal government improve identity verification for these entitlement programs?
Yeah, it's doing what the private sector does every single day, whether you use your bank, you go to Amazon, using those tools and moving away from some of the dated compliance standards that the federal government uses. NIST IAL 863, 2017, before there was anything called deepfakes and generative AI tools.
Also, I was informed that PayPal has never been, they've never been able to crack into that and steal people's vital information. Are they using those systems that you would be favorable towards that government seems to be shying away from?
Yes, sir.
And describe that, how that works.
They're systems that are based on encryption. They use technology and they use data to validate you are who you say you are. The people that are stealing right now, I believe a lot of them are actually ghosts from China, Russia, Nigeria, and Romania.
I read a report today that North Korea was involved in this, in some of that as well. And those people are our enemies. Again, they'll hate us for free. We don't have to give them taxpayer money. And are there loopholes that can be closed to avoid these improper payments? And I wish you'd describe those to me.
The biggest, most important thing, particularly in the benefit program space, is the use of self-certification. As Mr. Timmons noted, the state of Missouri is using a solution called Steady IQ to validate wages and wealth. You cannot allow individuals to provide the information based upon what they think. It has to be based on what you know, and that will stop the ghosts from using people's identities to steal money from U.S. taxpayers.
How much money do you calculate due to waste, fraud, and abuse in the entitlement programs each year?
Yeah, my number right now between federal, state, and local government is you can save $1 trillion a year by simply putting in front-end identity verification, eliminating self-certification, and monitoring the back end of the programs that are providing the benefits. Those three things.
You said you could eliminate that, but there are others. Do you feel like some more low-hanging fruit?
I would start with those three things because they're simple. That'll take that 20% fraud rate that you're seeing in the public sector down below 5%.
Chair Lady, I would suggest that we adopt Mr. Timmons' legislation and get that out of the committee as fast as possible. What actions also could Congress take to fix these problems quickly?
I think the first thing is updating and redoing the 1974 Privacy Act. That is virtually impossible to do data matching. It's very difficult to have data shared. And when you look back at the pandemic, data sharing and data matching would have stopped probably 50% of the $1 trillion that was stolen from taxpayers.
Any y'all like to add anything to that?
Congressman, I would just add that rather than accepting self-attestation, that states should have to be required to actually verify people's identities. And here's the key part: before they get enrolled. They shouldn't get enrolled and then eventually come later on down the road.
It's amazing to me. I have a doctor's appointment back in Knoxville, and the verification process is very extensive. It's more so than the federal government requires for any of this. What type of computer systems are these agencies using, and do they need updating?
They're using very dated technology, but they're also burdened. I look at the USDA, 6.2 million words in a 10,000 page document that shows how to implement the rules of the program. Nobody can figure that out. So one of the things that I think has to happen is the simplification of these processes and systems, and then just use the technology that we use every day in the private sector.
Okay, thank y'all so much for being here.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you, Chair Lady.
I now recognize the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Crockett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Talcove, I'm just going to go ahead and pick up where you left off really quickly. Just to be clear, you have a message about as it relates to our data processes. These aren't things that would be free, are they? They would cost some kind of money. Not looking for a number, but they will cost, correct?
Some are free and some would cost money.
Okay. All right. So I just want to leave it there because we've had a number of these hearings. So I do want to be clear, before the Trump administration came in, this committee did exist in the form of the Oversight Committee, and our task is to root out waste, fraud, and abuse. In that vein, we had a number of hearings, at least last term. I can't speak for any other term as I'm only in my sophomore term. And we dealt with improper payments. And interestingly enough, our chairwoman, who is so passionate about this today, she missed every single one of those improper payment hearings. But just to be clear, I was there. So I don't want anyone to believe that Democrats just come to work and don't plan to do work. In fact, I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for. And absolutely, he is occupying the Oval Office, as we saw yesterday. And that is a first for me, to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having a DOGE subcommittee hearing, and that guy's not here. Instead, we have y'all. So I do want to thank you for coming. But I will say this, it's also interesting to me that in the first few days of DOGE existing, we know that they are trying to get rid of the Department of Education, USAID, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They're laying off FAA workers. They are going after the FDA, the CDC, the HHS, the FBI agents, and they're talking about getting rid of FEMA. And they brought y'all in. And I am going to say that I actually was shocked that there was only one person that seemed like he was an overt Trumper as you laid out your opening remarks, because I anticipated that at least one of y'all would say, yes, what Elon is doing is exactly what we would prescribe. But instead, I will applaud you because you actually were focused. You talked about what the American people are looking for us to do. We've actually consistently on this side of the aisle promoted this idea of making investments into technology so that we can do things such as, say, look at the Department of Defense. The Department of Defense that takes up approximately 50% of our discretionary income, or our discretionary spending. Approximately 50% goes to Department of Defense. Department of Defense has not been able to pass an audit in the last 6 audits, and we're not talking about pennies. I understand that we want everything to be perfect, and if we could get all waste, fraud, and abuse out, that would be fantastic. But let me talk about the big numbers. The big numbers are on that side. When we look at, say, our entire workforce, our federal workforce, as we're trying to somehow fire all of them, they don't even make up a total of 5%. It's even less than that when we look at our budget. But let's talk about defense. That just happens to be the same side of the ledger that Mr. Musk gets the vast majority of his money from. In fact, at the same time that they were unlawfully, and we will stay in court, because on this side, we believe in law and order. We believe in, a number of us are actually lawyers, but nevertheless, we understand the Constitution. We believe in that as well. And so there's things such as, impoundment, right? Because as Mr. Whitson said, he said, we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand, if you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired. The gentlelady's time has expired.
Rein in this rogue actor known
The gentlelady's time has expired. I now recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Burleson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to speak frankly at first to the American people. We are nearing $37 trillion in national debt. What does that mean? That means that each and every U.S. taxpayer owes over $323,000. Okay, what does that mean? That means when the EPIC, which is the Economic Policy Innovation Center, says we have 18 trillion left. That's it, 18 trillion left to take out, and we're spending $2 trillion in debt every year. Folks, we're at the precipice of a debt, like a debt cycle. We are literally at a point in which the dollar will be worth nothing. What does that mean? And we know Social Security goes bankrupt in 8 years, right? Medicare goes bankrupt in 10 years. And then 15 years from now, the dollar is completely devalued and worth nothing. So what does that mean? That means your pension, the money in your bank, your savings is nothing. It's worthless.